I'm Justin Davis, and this is Joe Camp's RC. Today's review, guys, we're going to do the Skystars Piper 105. This is the XM Plus version. They have made some changing with extra bracing in the frame, so it's going to make it fly even better if you decide to get it. So mine is the original prototype, as you see here, with no bracing. It also has a TPU mount on here that they have a very light version on mine, which I like. Also a wheelbase of 105 millimeters on this little guy. It is a 3S machine. We're going to also fly it with the Runcam Nano 2, which is a great choice. 2.1 millimeter lens. TPU canopy is also just crazy ultra durable. I have my mounted dipole in the back, which I love, my antenna post coming out there, and my XM Plus tucked just underneath the canopy. It doesn't even need anything to hold it down because it stays in there nice and snug. 400 milliwatt VTX is awesome. Go way out there. Little push button on the side for changing bands and channels. And we have a little bit of dampening all the way around, top and bottom, on this flight controller. It's the Cram F411 AIO with 15 amp BLHeli 4-in-1 ESCs, capacitor, all the bells and whistles there, and the USB port is on the very bottom if you're looking for that. XT30 on the bottom, as always with all these micros, and today I'm using the HQ 65mm T-mount props on here. These are the newer ones. I'll try to find a link, put those down below for you. These are super smooth. Skystars branded motors, and these babies are 1103 8000 kV motors, super hopped up little micro motors. 4 bolts on the bottom, super skinny arm, and it did take some beating, so the frame is pretty tough. 65mm props, stickers, and an extra canopy also come in the box, which is pretty nice. Very, very durable. That TPU stuff is awesome. Let's go ahead and turn on the scale and zero it out and see what kind of dry weight we get. That means with no battery. Set the quad on there. It looks like 48 grams. Not bad. Now with a 3S 450, we're going to get up to 88 grams. And with the 3S 550 from GMB, we're going to get up to 99 grams. Not bad. Let's do some flying. Alright guys, let's go ahead and do some flying now. The FPV flight test. Let's see how the Piper does. The 105, first off, my first power loop there, that was a lot of fun. And right away on the sticks, I knew that the tune was pretty loose for freestyle. It also has that sort of True X characteristic. I don't know if some of you guys are familiar with that. Coming from the H-style frames, moving over to the True X style design frames, really kind of felt a lot looser than the original like ZMR 250 type quads we were flying on, originally starting out on 3S. And when we went to X frame, it kind of changed a lot as far as the nimble side of the quad goes. And with something this small, around 105 millimeters, it makes it really, really zippy on the sticks. It's just really snappy and tight on the loops, which I love. And it's so fast on the 1103s on 3S that I don't even know which direction to fly next. It's a lot of fun to fly. And since it's such a small footprint, 105 millimeter lets you kind of squeeze in between things in a small parking lot and kind of have a lot of fun in like a really small space. So that's why we're flying in the parking lot today, because there's tons of little trees out here that I can just zip around and zoom around and kind of play around. And really I'm just kind of seeing what this quad can handle down low. Took a couple hits and survived, which was cool. And I've done less and broke frames before, so this one probably looks around 2.5 to 3 millimeter unibody thickness on the bottom of it. But I love the snap, and it is really cold today, so my batteries are around the end of the season now, and they're sagging out a lot. But if you can run something like in the 550 range, the 1103 is really like a 550 to 600 milliamp battery. That's what I would suggest going for. I really wouldn't run 4S on this because the ESCs are 15 amp, and you might end up possibly ruining your ESCs if you run at 4S. You're just kind of pushing it a little bit, but if anybody tries it, let me know. If it works, I'll give it a shot myself. I just didn't want to fry this on the first day for you guys. There, I took another hit and a crash in the bush. This quad took a lot of hits, which I really like. For around the $100 range, if you were looking for a little ripper that is just a freestyle maniac, it feels like a little miniature, 5-inch, really, honestly. I said for years that in the micro community, guys started to say, oh man, these micros fly like 5-inch, and I would say, no they don't, no they don't, no they don't. And finally, we're at the point where they actually do feel like a 5-inch, which is really, really cool. I'm able to get in here nice and low and tight down to the pavement, which is fun. I really wanted to fly under the van, but I didn't want to smack right into the side of the van with no prop guards. Now back down here along this side, around this little tree, back between the tree and the light pole. It's so quick and so snappy. It's tons of fun to fly. And since it is a decent price, that also brings the fun factor up. Right here I'm using the stock 65mm props. Higher up you can see more jello in the tune. Down low it's not really so noticeable. I also experimented with some props. I tried to prop down a little bit. Sometimes that will help reduce some of the jello. If you have a little bit of jitter vibes in the tune at high throttle, you can prop down to like 2.5 inch. And I used some 2306 as well to test those out. They didn't quite work out quite as well. So I went back to the HQ 65mm, the new versions of the HQ 65mm tri-prop. Nice little speed prop. Super nice thin cord, thin tapered tip, really smooth flying prop. And I'll show you those at the end of the video here. I have them on the quad. If you didn't notice in the first part of the video, looking pretty good here though. Just making some runs around the parking lot so you guys can kind of see like what the speed looks like with this quad. It is pretty zippy. Now out to the trees for a little bit of freestyle fun. I wanted to try out a nice solid power loop with this quad and see if it can handle it. So up over these trees and tight in, back around through the bottom. Let's go for one more. Nope, coming up a little bit late on that one. Back over the trees for a little snap there. A little bit of a dive. It handles dives back down to the ground like a champ. It doesn't bog out at the bottom of the dive, which is really cool. And it's just so maneuverable. Look at that. It whips, snaps underneath the trees, back down underneath the trees. It's crazy. This quad is insane. If you want to learn freestyle, start here with something like the Piper. This little guy can pretty much do anything that you can throw at it. Look at that perfect power loop. That was awesome. Power all the way around and back under the tree. Nice little yaw snap there. Really snappy on the yaw also, which I love. Really responsive flight controller. And this is the first time I've flown the Cram F4, so I'm pretty impressed with the Cram F4. I can usually tune these things a little bit better, but this is pretty much what you get out of the box. Back up there for a boost. Coming back down. I really enjoyed flying the Piper, and I have to say this is probably one of the quads recently that surprised me, because sometimes with Skystars I don't expect the world. It is a more budget China brand, and it's definitely not up on par with like something like Gap RC gear, but they're pushing their stuff higher and higher all the time as far as the quality goes. Look at that. No problem. And I'm running 25 milliwatt here. You guys can crank it all the way up to 400 if you want to. But the Runcam Nano 2 was the right choice. And adding the new frame brace in the front and the back, just a little more rigidity, is just going to give you a little stronger quad, and it's going to fly a little bit better than mine. It won't have as much vibe to it. But this is looking pretty good. Really a nice release from Skystars. I haven't flown a lot of their micros. Back run for one last power loop. Awesome. I'm at the very bottom of this battery. This battery is like wanting to land right now. And only got a minute and a half out of that one. But if you guys decide to, let's get back in the studio now. If you decide to run this quad, run it on something like a 3S, 550 milliamp to 600 milliamp. Because the 1103s, they want a little more milliamp in the battery. If you run a 450 on a cold day, you're gonna get like a minute and a half just going crazy with it. If you're just cruising 2 minutes, if you're running the 550 or the 600 milliamp, you're gonna get like 3.5 minutes. Cruising, you could probably get 4 minutes out of this quad. And I was running it kind of hard, so I really like that the top of the quad feels rigid. And the newer one is going to be even more rigid, because this one has holes carved out of the bottom to lighten it up a little bit. I like the dipole in the back. That was a really nice addition. And The rigidity of this one's not bad, but I think they decided to make that last minute change and add some braces in it so it doesn't flex quite as much as mine. So the new version, the V2 version, that I'm going to put the link down below, will be even better than this one. And this one is a winner. This one is actually one of the best scoring Skystars quad that I've had on the channel in ages. So good job, Skystars, and thanks for adding the new bracing on the new frame. I think this is probably about 4.5 out of 5. Very nice quad. Guys, I'm Justin Davis. Thanks for watching my reviews. I'll see you on the next one.